Ever get that feeling that success is, I don't know, like a lottery you didn't buy a ticket for?
Yeah.
That some people just have this built-in advantage, and, well, the rest of us are just paddling upstream.
Oh, definitely. It's a sentiment a lot of people share, right? That the playing field isn't always level.
Yeah.
But what if there was a way to sort of create your own opportunities no matter where you started? What if being ordinary wasn't really a disadvantage, but maybe just a starting point for something, extraordinary?
That's exactly the territory we're getting into today. We're doing a deep dive into the ideas of Hitode. He's this hugely popular blogger and YouTuber.
Mm-hmm.
And his book, The Common Person's Guide to Revolutionizing Their Life and Escaping Everything They Hate, it's really struck a chord with people.
It really has.
What's so compelling about him, I think, is his core message. You don't need to be born with some amazing talent or, a silver spoon to actually take control and build something meaningful.
And Hitode isn't just like talk and theory here. His own story really highlights this perfectly. He's totally open about graduating from what he calls an F-rank university.
Right, like a lower tier school.
Exactly, non-elite. And get this, he had a 0% win rate in tennis. Perfect zero.
Uh-huh.
And early in his career, apparently he was constantly getting chewed out at work. So this isn't some story of someone who was like always destined for the top. He started out very much in the realm of the everyday person.
Absolutely. He's one of us, basically.
Yeah.
And yet somehow, through the strategies he talks about, he's built this life where he's earning over 10 million yen a month.
Which is incredible.
It really is. It's a testament to his principles. So, okay, our mission for this deep dive.
Yeah.
Let's pull out the most actionable strategies from his book. We want to figure out the actual steps anyone, whatever their background, can take to free up their most valuable resource time and ultimately boost their income.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, let's unpack his first big idea, this time generation technique.
Yes, this is really a cornerstone of his whole philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
And it especially hits home for anyone who feels they lack those, inherent advantages. His point is that time becomes the great equalizer. Innate talent might be fixed, sure, but how we actually use our time, that's totally within our control. And he breaks this time generation technique down into a pretty practical 4-step process.
Right. Step one seems pretty straightforward. Just setting aside dedicated time for your goals. He really emphasizes like scheduling it.
Yeah, like a real appointment.
Exactly. Treating it like something important. So if you're thinking about, I don't know, a side project, he'd say block out, say, an hour every day. Commit to it. Make it a real part of your routine.
Makes sense. But as we all know, just adding something new when you already feel totally swamped, well, that often just leads to burnout, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Been there.
So that's where step 2 comes in, creating what he calls a stop doing list. This means taking a really honest look at what you're currently doing and figuring out where your time is just like leaking away. You know, those habits that don't really add much value? Maybe it's zoning out in front of the TV for hours or getting lost scrolling social media feeds.
This is where it gets really practical, though, because just knowing what wastes your time isn't quite enough, is it? Step 3 is about putting actual support systems in place to, well, stop you from doing those things. Hitode really stresses that just relying on willpower, it's often just a recipe for failure. Those habits are ingrained, they have a strong pull.
He's absolutely right about that. Willpower, it can run out. It's a finite resource for most of us.
Totally.
And he gives some really concrete examples. Like if you want to watch less TV, he suggests physically unplugging it.
Oh,
Yeah, that little bit of extra effort to plug it back in, sometimes that's enough to make you think twice. Or if you're always checking Twitter, log out every time. Maybe even take the app off your phone's home screen, just adding that friction.
making it harder for yourself.
Exactly. It can be surprisingly effective. And for YouTube, falling down those rabbit holes, he suggests setting app time limits, although he did jokingly make an exception for the Rakugaki Sarah channel, which I thought was pretty funny.
Huh. Well, we all have our necessary exceptions, I guess. So the main idea is just make it physically more annoying to do the unproductive stuff.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And then step 4, that's where the magic happens, so to speak. Effectively using that time you've just freed up. Once you've managed to carve out those extra hours, you need to be really deliberate about how you invest them.
Okay.
Precisely. This is the engine for making progress. Hitode argues you should dedicate this reclaimed time to your side hustles or activities that help you grow, things that can ultimately generate income.
Like what specifically?
Well, it could be reading books to learn more, developing new skills that are relevant to your goals, or, actually working on whatever side project you've chosen.
Got it. So the big takeaway from this time generation technique is basically putting in the hours doesn't automatically guarantee success, obviously.
Right.
But Hitode argues that for most of us, the average person without some crazy natural gift, achieving goals without that focused time investment, it's pretty much impossible.
Highly unlikely, yeah.
Okay, so we've tackled how to find more time.
Yeah.
But then comes the big question, right? With what feels like a million different side hustle options out there, how do you actually pick the right one for you?
That's a huge question, isn't it? And the sheer number of possibilities can feel, well, paralyzing. You just don't know where to start.
Totally. Analysis paralysis.
Exactly. Hitode gets that. He acknowledges the information overload and says that the very first step is just becoming aware of the different kinds of opportunities available. He mentions his book covers maybe 10 main types, but he also just encourages looking online, seeing what's out there.
But just knowing what exists isn't the same as finding something you'll actually stick with, right? I mean, motivation is key.
Absolutely. And that's why Hitode puts such a strong emphasis on passion and genuine enjoyment as really critical factors when you're choosing.
Which makes total sense when you think about it. If you don't even slightly care about what you're doing in your precious spare time.
Yeah, the odds of you putting in the consistent effort you need, they just plummet. Sustained effort is really the foundation, especially for a side hustle you're juggling with everything else.
Right.
If it just feels like a constant chore, you're way more likely to just drop it the moment things get tough. And things will get tough.
True.
But he also makes a great point that even attempts that maybe don't work out the way you hoped, they're not failures. They give you really valuable experience, insights you can use next time.
And the cool thing now is that the barrier to entry for so many of these things is just incredibly low, thanks to computers, the internet.
Oh, definitely. Hitode points this out too. The initial money you need to put in is often tiny, sometimes zero, and the risk involved is pretty small compared to, say, starting a traditional business.
Yeah, lets you experiment more freely, try things out.
It's a huge difference from older business models needing tons of capital. And he actually shares a really relatable story about this himself.
Oh, yeah.
Before he hit it big with YouTube, he apparently spent quite a bit of time learning programming, Python specifically.
Yeah.
And his goal was to develop some kind of AI-related program.
Ah, I remember hearing about this.
Oh,
He actually built something, didn't he? Like a program that tells you the day of the week you were born?
That's the one. Which, it's technically cool. He could do it.
Yeah.
But it didn't exactly light a fire under him, apparently, and it didn't seem like something that could scale into a real income stream.
Right. Not exactly a world-changing app.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Even though that programming path wasn't it for him, it wasn't wasted time. It helped him figure out what didn't really click.
Clarification by doing.
Precisely. And pretty soon after that, he switched gears, launched his YouTube channel, and, well, we know how that turned out. It's just a great example of trying, learning, and, pivoting.
Okay, so manage time, pick something you actually like. Got it. Now, Hitode brings up this really crucial idea. The difference between what he calls one-off work and stock-type work. This sounds like a pretty fundamental shift in how you think about earning.
It really is. It's a potentially transformative way to look at income generation. So one-off work, or flow work, he sometimes calls it, that's basically trading your time and your direct effort for a specific payment.
Like most jobs.
Exactly. Like hourly wages, or getting paid per project as a freelancer, maybe video editing per video, or writing articles for a set fee. You do the work, you get paid once for that work. Your income is directly tied to the hours you put in.
Makes sense.
And the income potential there is ultimately capped by how many hours you can physically work.
Right. You work an hour, you get paid for that hour.
Yeah.
Stop working, the money stops. Pretty simple. So what's the big deal with this stock-type work then? How is it different?
So stock-type work, according to Hitode, that's where the potential for really significant scalable income comes in. His main example is his own blogging.
Okay.
When you write a blog post, that content lives online. It can keep attracting readers and earning money maybe through ads or affiliate links long after you've actually finished writing it.
Ah, I see.
YouTube videos work the same way. You upload it once, but it can keep getting views and potentially generating revenue, well, indefinitely.
So the key thing is your income gets kind of disconnected from your immediate active work time. It's more like you're building an asset.
Exactly. An asset that keeps generating returns over time, even when you're not actively working on it.
He used that Gakushiki Salon YouTube channel as an example, didn't he? Pointing out how the book recommendations in the videos are basically working 24/7.
Yes, generating potential sales even while the host is sleeping or eating or, watching anime, as he put it.
That really paints a picture of the leverage involved there. Passive income, basically.
It illustrates that concept really powerfully. However, and this is important, Hitode is also super upfront about the main challenge with stock type work. The initial period often involves putting in a lot of effort for little or maybe even no income. It takes a significant investment of time and work just to build momentum. You're essentially planting seeds that need time to grow.
Right. Delayed gratification. He shared his own blogging story too, didn't he? Like 3 hours every single day.
For 3 straight months and earned absolutely nothing. 0 yen.
Wow. That takes some serious perseverance. Just grinding away with no reward in sight.
It really does. You need belief in that long-term vision. It wasn't until the 4th month, he says, that he finally made his first 10,000 yen.
Okay, so the start is the killer.
That initial phase is definitely the most demanding, yeah. It requires grit, persistence, believing it'll eventually pay off, even when the immediate feedback is, well, nothing. But Hitode insists that once you push through that initial barrier, the income potential with Stark-type work, it's basically unlimited, especially if you keep refining your approach using that PDCA cycle plan, do, check, act, continuously improving.
And his own results kind of back that up, right?
Yeah.
Within just a year of starting that blog.
He was making over 1 million yen a month.
Well,
And eventually hit a peak of 10 million yen monthly.
that's insane growth. It really shows that exponential potential he talks about.
It really does. So yeah, to quickly recap the key strategies we've pulled from Hitode. First, get a grip on your time using that time generation technique. Take control of that asset.
Right.
Second, find a side hustle that you actually find interesting, something you can stick with long term. And third, really understand and try to leverage the power of stock type work. Aim to build those lasting, scalable income streams.
This has been super insightful,
Yeah.
a really practical deep dive into his core ideas. And as we mentioned, he also has his own YouTube channel, right? Hitode channel.
Yep, that's the one. He shares lots of thoughts there on business, money, that sort of thing. And it's kind of cool, the person behind the Gakushiki Salon channel, who we've talked about, mentioned he actually got inspired to read Hitodo's book after seeing a video about it on Hitode's own channel.
Oh, interesting. Like a feedback loop of inspiration.
Yeah, it shows how these ideas kind of connect and spread.
Absolutely. We'll definitely put a link to Hitode's channel in the show notes so you can check it out.
Good idea.
Now, switching gears just a little, and maybe taking a leaf out of the Gakushiki Salon host's book with his openness, I've kind of realized my own routine has gotten a bit, well, routine. It's a lot of work than maybe, hitting the onsen, the public bath, which is nice, relaxing,
Sure.
but it's not exactly sparking tons of new ideas or like exposing me to different stuff. So I'm actually putting it out there to you listening. Got any hobby recommendations? I'm trying to inject some fresh inputs, maybe shake things up a bit.
That's a great way to, foster some personal growth, find new perspectives. And hey, it doesn't have to be just hobbies, right? Any interesting services or places you've been curious about, maybe?
Yeah, totally. Open to anything, really. Services, places,
Yeah.
experiences. So yeah, to you listening, echoing that question, what recommendations do you have for me? What new stuff should I check out?